I know on our YouTube channel we said our next episode was going to be His Girl Friday, but we're doing a departure because we've had two actors that died recently, and we're going to do two tribute shows to them. So today, on our show, we're doing a tribute to the great actor, Gene Hackman.
Please don't forget to subscribe to our Bold Media Films YouTube channel, like our episodes, and comment. It helps us and it helps you to enjoy these great entertaining shows of ours.
So before I start getting into his life a little bit, you want to do your Cineseps?
Sure. Now, you mentioned Gene Hackman.
Yeah.
A legend, simple, great actor. So this is sort of an old-fashioned legend Cinesip cocktail. It's an old-fashioned made with rye bourbon, a little bit of bitters because of the complexity of his life, but simple, and that Gene liked a beer, a wine, or a classic cocktail like the old-fashioned.
I'm having this first. Oh my God. I can't even eat the cherry.
What's the matter with your cherry?
I got a liquor.
Well, yes, it's a liquor cherry.
This is for serious people who want to get drunk with one drink.
Just remember, when you make this drink and enjoying a Gene Hackman movie, get a solid 1 cube ice cube. It really makes it a classy touch
if people
to a
have
class
those
act
ice
like
things like
Gene
you.
Hackman. Stop talking.
Let me just tell you about it. Okay, Gene Hackman, probably one of the most famous, most working actors that came in. I always talk about American New Wave cinema, and he went from that time period to the time he retired. The interesting thing was he went to the Pasadena Playhouse. He started in theater like they all did at this time, really, and I guess all actors kind of do. Maybe the new actors don't, whatever. But he shared an apartment with Dustin Hoffman and Robert Duvall when they all did plays. And his instructor, this is the people that teach, usually never do. I don't do that, though, because I have made films, so there you go. His instructor told him to quit acting because he wouldn't amount to anything.
Yeah, they actually said he and Dustin were the most likely not to succeed.
Dustin was voted the worst out of the whole class, so that just tells you. His first film role led to bigger films because he filmed it with Warren Beatty and Jean Seberg, who was very pretty, in the movie Lilith, which solidified his affiliation with Warren Beatty as a friend, which brought him to his big Bonnie and Clyde. And that's the first time people really knew him because he did a nod. He was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for Buck Barrow, Clyde Barrow's brother, and he did a great job. And it's a great film. If you watch one new wave American cinema, I don't care. That's Bonnie and Clyde.
So when did the French Connection weave into his history?
French Connection came later on. He did a bunch of different movies. I have French Connection's time period. I will probably do that in my watch list, Joe, because I wasn't ready to do that yet, but it's okay.
So I'm enjoying my old-fashioned legend, Gene Hackman tribute Cinesip, in sort of an older style garb outfit, something simple like Gene with a hat, suit, nice and simple. And Debbie, are you drinking your drink?
No.
Okay.
I can't drink it, but I'm also the famous character Popeye Doyle, who was in French Connection, modeled after a real police officer. Actually, the real guy was in the movie. He did a subpart. But Gene Hackman had a lot of problems with French Connection, even though it made him a huge star because he thought the part was too violent and low class, and he just couldn't get into it. It became one of his signature roles, and he won the Best Actor. And also they said, critics said that with Roy Scheider, who we love from Jaws, they were co-cops in French Connection. It was so realistic, their portrayal, that they felt they were real cops. And when an actor transcends the role and you don't see the actor anymore in the role, that's incredible.
What I want to touch on, Debbie, is not just his history, but the issues surrounding how he died. He and his wife passed away. So to let the audience know that the history really portrays the whole breadth of Gene Hackman's work. It's how he removed himself from Hollywood and ultimately his death that really defined him.
Right.
He went out of Hollywood wanting a private life.
Yeah.
With his second wife, Betsy Arakawa.
And I think she was a concert pianist.
She was a concert pianist, 20 years
Yeah.
junior to him. Only child, mother raised her alone, smart woman. They met in 1984 at a gym. Matter of fact, it was right around the time where his marriage to Faye was kind of ending, kind of estranged, and there's a little bit of overlap. So whether Gene was
But Joe,
mixing this in,
let me rein you in, because that's going to go into the later stuff. I want to do a little bit more about his films.
this is where we argue back and
No,
forth.
we're going to argue about it because I don't want to be redundant. I want my watch list to be bang, 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 bang. But I want to talk more about him.
Okay, audience members, do you want to hear more about
Sure, they
Gene
want to hear about
Hackman's
Gene
history
Hackman.
or about how he passed away and the situation surrounding that? Comment below. All right. Debbie?
Well, Gene Hackman had so many big roles that were unbelievable that we all remember, and they're on TV constantly because he was, a great person. One of the roles that he loved the most was a picture called I Never Sang for My Father with Melvyn Douglas. If you ever get a chance to see it, really watch it, because it's about a father and son that just don't communicate. And we love Melvyn Douglas. He was a great actor too, a great foil. He did it in The Candidate, which we did. You can look back on that. And he was a great actor. And Melvyn Douglas was 1,000 years old, but he was great playing the grandfather. And he did the perfect part with Gene Hackman. Great movie. Another one of his favorite roles was Scarecrow. And it was a road comedy drama, very less known about, with Al Pacino. So you got these combos of people back in the day that really were the last vestige of giant Hollywood stars. He did 2 John Grisham novels put to film. The Firm with Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise was big stuff then, so a lot of people saw The Firm. These were big movies in the theater. And one I really particularly loved was Runaway Jury, set in New Orleans, my second favorite town, well, my most favorite town in the world. And that was with John Cusack, really good, where Gene Hackman played really good kind of bad guys. And he
like
was
Lex Luthor in Superman.
Yes, we're going to get to that. But he also had a flair for comedy. And The Birdcage is a riot. Of course, Nathan Lane and Robin Williams were the crazies in it, but he did a really good job as a straight guy. His retired role in 2004 was a movie called Welcome to Mooseport. Nobody really saw that. But his last thing on film, and this is too much, was in diners and dive-ins and on the Food Network.
I have no idea what you're talking
The
about.
Food Network showed diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Oh.
Guy Fieri was out filming in a Santa Fe diner, and Gene Hackman just happened to be eating there. So that was his last stint on film. Also, when he retired, he was a very proud Democrat, but he said he was glad to be on Nixon's most hated list, which is crazy.
Why did Nixon hate him?
I guess he was a very, very verbal Democrat, and Nixon was a Republican, but he was also very good friends with Ronald Reagan. And Ronald Reagan, of course, was a Republican. But when he went on Larry King for an interview, he announced he was going to retire. And Larry King said, why? And he said, because my cardiologist didn't give me good outcome. And he was tired. But he would have still been the headliner in films. That's how solid his career was.
I argue and debate that
Please.
statement because looking at his background and history, he wanted to remove himself from the limelight. He wanted to leave and live with his new wife.
He was tired out,
He loved his
Joe.
wife. He loved Betsy. And in my belief, like when you move to New Mexico to Santa Fe,
yeah.
these actors who move to Santa Fe seem to that's
They're off the grid.
They're off the grid. That's how they get themselves isolated from the world. And I truly believe that while I agree that he had enough of Hollywood, I think that there was no intention of returning. I think he may have used that sort of as an excuse.
Right, and Hollywood was changing. And every decade or so, Hollywood will change. And we were coming into streaming, we were coming into technical stuff, CGI, and old-timey actors with big studios and great directors. They were like, okay, this isn't for me.
We also have to understand, too, he marries Betsy Arakawa, and they were together for 30 years. He doesn't have children with her, but he has 3 children with his previous marriage. And it kind of gets estranged. Like, he doesn't talk about his kids. He doesn't appear with his 3 children. He spends his life devoted to his wife, and his wife devoted to him.
Well, you know what?
And they had a chance to really
Right,
leave
but he was never in
Hollywood.
tabloids,
Wait a minute.
too.
Wait
He
a
was
minute.
never in
He
tabloids.
left and started a new world, a world of just for themselves. So I don't think he had any intention of
But just
ever
think
wanted to
about
stay in
how
Hollywood. He wanted out of
interested
it.
he was in so many things that sometimes when you have a million interests and you give up your main job, you go into your interests. And he was like, everything he had an interest in, he excelled in. So the guy who in Pasadena school was most likely to not succeed was about probably the most succeeding person, and probably the teacher retired into obscurity, you know?
But with Gene Hackman, he loved Betsy. Betsy loved him. They started a new life in Santa Fe.
Right.
They opened up a linens store. She opened up. She was a businesswoman, not only a classic pianist, but she was a businesswoman, and opened up an Asian restaurant. So they had other things to devote time to.
And we know that. And I'm reining you in because I want to hear
Why
more.
is she reining me in?
Because
she
I
goes
want to
blah, 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 blah about the movies. He did this, he did
Well, they
that,
know
he did
about
that.
his movies, but the
They
thing
all
is,
know that. People all know that.
But
You
they
want to know
wanna
why
hear
and how he
about-
died
No,
and the
I'm getting-
speculation
But I'm getting you
of
into that now. I'm
what could have
segueing you
went
from
on
she
his
had a store,
mind
she did this, she did
before
that.
he passed away.
Let's get into the weird of the ending of his
How does she control the segue?
I can do it.
How does that happen?
Because we got to get to the
The
weird.
award is on my side. It's not on her
Get
side.
to the weird. I'm worldly. You're celluloid. There you go.
So his passing and Betsy's passing is really something more internal to me, at least. It's like kind of a romance with a touch of film noir. It's seclusion away from the world, devoting themselves to each other. It really lets us think, is it the applause that defines us, or is it how we are and what we did before the final curtain call, before we leave this earth?
I think it's how well-rounded you are as a person, and he seemed like a whole character. He wasn't
but I
defined
think
by his
I
career.
think he moved away from that. And the unfortunate passing of his life was met with, initially when the word came out that he had passed away, it was with a lot of speculation, like what happened? He's married to his wife.
Right.
People hadn't seen him and his wife for some time. And
when
the
you saw
maintenance
pictures
workers,
of him, Joe, he was so, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it was him. I was looking at this old man,
well, he's 95 years old.
but he was still such a big, burly Popeye Doyle.
And his wife was very devoted. Matter of fact, when the early reports came out from the media, that a maintenance worker is the one that actually discovered that he passed away. Well, it's not weird in the sense that he lived in a community,
Yeah.
like a gated community. His home was isolated from most of the other developments, most of the other homes. And the maintenance people in that area, when they were interviewed, when you watch the body cam footage, really loved them. I mean, always spoke about Betsy being private but kind, didn't want people to like walk up to Gene or her. Matter of fact, one of the hairdressers, her hairdresser, and why it's always the hairdresser, told the police that there was a man who was approaching Betsy with a folder of Gene Hackman photos and wanted Gene to sign them. And second time tried to approach the home where they lived, and she scolded this guy. She goes like, "How dare you?" And the guy's like, "Well, here's a bottle of wine." And she's like, "You need to have more respect for my husband."
But
And
Joe,
so there was speculation that there was some kind of foul play. Was it that? Was it, a carbon monoxide leak? But in the end, what transpired was she passed away. She had the hantavirus, they discovered.
yeah, that's the weird thing because, first of all, I used to have a farm and I had feed for the horses, and there were always rats and things around in the barn because, they want to eat corn, they want to eat omeline and all this stuff. I mean, these
Omeline?
were, it's grain that has molasses in it for horses. Anyway, but it attracts, they're out there, they want food, animals. I have a possum in the backyard. What can I tell you?
She keeps a possum
I
in her
do.
backyard.
Spectre.
I kid you not.
Spectre. Anyway, she has a name. But the thing is weird is, how did this woman get this? If they live in this mansion, they obviously would have a housekeeper. The house would be clean. How the F did she get this thing? That's the mystery.
There's mystery behind that. There was only 150 cases in New Mexico over the last 50 years of the hantavirus. And 40% of them were fatal. These folks died. So while that hasn't come out yet at the time of this taping, how she got it, you're right. You can get it from being around rats, mice. You could be breathing it. Usually it's urine or feces.
I don't get it.
It's
They didn't
kind of
have a
odd.
barn.
You wonder if there were some sanitary issues, but it could be as simple as she was in an environment where there was rats. She could be out somewhere and she caught it. Now, one of the people, the maintenance people that they interviewed on the body cam, police body cam, said that she was a health freak. It was a friend of hers.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
And it didn't really connect with who she was.
Plus, she had just gone to the vet. She had the dog. She was shopping. She gets home. And then from what I get, and I didn't research as much as you, but he was like wandering around with Alzheimer's for days.
Okay, so I have speculation on that.
What
So
about
here you
that?
go. Here's the timeline. The 26th of February, they find both of them dead. The maintenance guy calls the police. They finally enter the home. She is lying in the bathroom. From what they discovered, she fell or she fainted.
She was decomposed a bit, right, or
She was
something?
kind of mummified, they said. They used the word mummification in her body. And that was on the 12th. They connect the date of the 12th because on the 12th, the morning of the 12th, she called her doctor to say that she wanted to make an appointment on that day. And she never made
feel
it.
well.
Well, the hantavirus has traces of similarities to like the flu. So you could be achy and feel like fluish
And you don't know.
not thinking of anything
And
fatal.
nowadays, you think it might be COVID, too. Who the hell knows?
Exactly. But she never makes it to the doctor's office. They kind of let it be. She dies in the bathroom.
And the dog, too,
The
right?
dog was crated in the closet, and the poor thing, Xena, had died from starvation and
God.
dehydration. So the other two dogs were loose, and the sad part, and it really like wells you up, when they entered the home, one of the dogs was laying on Betsy's body, protecting her.
Oh, dogs do that, like
And
Lassie.
you could hear in the body cam before they entered the house, the dog barking. One of the dogs was barking, almost like, come here, like
Yeah, dogs are good.
they know. When they found Betsy's body, they also discovered Gene Hackman's body. He had fallen in the mudroom. He had his cane nearby, his sunglasses nearby. And the connection between the time of death was his pacemaker. They discovered that his pacemaker stopped registering on the 18th of February. So now you go from the 12th, where she dies. He's in the house on the 18th, and they discover the body on the 26th. What doesn't make sense, and this is where my speculation and my theory comes, they said that his cause of death was complications from Alzheimer's. He had cardiac condition that expired him. He had Alzheimer's. But one of the maintenance people said before they entered the house, when the cops were interviewing them, he said, oh yeah, we would see him. We saw Gene. Yeah, he would be driving around. I saw him the other day driving around. Like, yeah, that
Driving or on his
driving.
bicycle?
No, driving. And he said on the cam that he was seen driving alone, like he and Betsy would drive alone. So I'm thinking, if someone is suffering from Alzheimer's, how are they driving alone?
can't.
Unless it's a degree of Alzheimer's.
Or he just got in the car and he was driving, like silver, what is it called? Silver alert.
Right. But so it makes me think that he didn't have severe Alzheimer's to the point where he didn't quite know his surroundings.
Let me just interject.
So here's my theory.
Yeah.
I think that Betsy dies. He's in the house. He does have some cognitive issues. And that at the same time, he's confused. He doesn't know what to do. But he wanted a private life. And I think he knew enough that had he made a phone call, had he reached out to anyone, it would have been a public spectacle. It would have been media attention.
Joe, I don't
totally
think
agree.
that. That's nuts.
I don't think it's nuts at all. I think it's solid.
That's your opinion.
I think that he may have tried to get out because he had his cane and sunglasses nearby.
Yeah, maybe.
And maybe couldn't get out, but then kind of gave up.
But didn't they say that he was...
That he knew his wife was dead.
That he was hydrated, so he was able to get drinks of water, but he had no food for days.
Right.
So she probably cooked and got the food.
She was the caretaker.
He didn't know how to make food or any of that.
The fact that the people that were closest to him
like the
said
kids
that
say
he
they're
was
close
kind of
to him.
alert. You know, like,
But they never called him. They said, oh, I was so close with my father and I was this and that. And Betsy, his wife was close with her mother, who was older. But then they didn't talk to them for 3 months. That doesn't make sense.
Right. Yeah,
my son calls me every other day.
Because he's
call
scared of his mother.
No, not at all. He loves me. But you call your mother 100 times a day? 50?
100 times, because I'm scared of my mother.
Well, yeah, we're all right. Your little mom, she's so cool.
Funny you mentioned the kids. So the 3 kids that were from his first marriage from Faye, 2 of them came out, made public statements. The 2 daughters made public statements that they love their father.
Right.
They spoke to him a month ago. That the granddaughter from one of the girls, one of the daughters, had said, we loved our grandpop. They remember him fondly. Never a statement from the son.
That's weird.
And again, this is at this time of our taping.
I still
nothing from the
find
son.
this extremely weird and mysterious.
Did you see the movie The Father with Anthony Hopkins?
Yes.
That hit me like a ton of bricks. And you don't know it as you're watching it, but as the story unfolds, he has Alzheimer's and his daughter's taking care of him and he's in a different world. And it made me think of Hackman, like where in
where
the
was his
Alzheimer's
brain
spectrum,
resonating
where
at the time?
what was he thinking? Did he
He might have
realize?
gone in and out, because a lot of people are in and out of Alzheimer's.
Right, but some Alzheimer's patients too are repetitive, so that he knew like how to go out. He knew how to, but I think he also knew that Betsy was dead.
You think he was trying
and
to
he
get
wanted
in
be
the car
private.
to drive
he was
somewhere?
He was trying to, maybe not 100% cognitively there, but enough to know that
There was something wrong.
there's something wrong, and we're gonna pass away. This is it.
Joe, I want to know, like, is this a done deal? I haven't heard anything on the news lately. There's another actor who died. It's kind of taken over a bit, and we'll get to that. But is there an investigation still?
So there's not so much of an investigation, it's the disclosure of the body cam. There are body cam from the police when they entered their homes.
Oh, I want to see that.
Now, well, so the mother of Betsy, she's 91 years old.
Yeah, 91. That I know.
She and the estate of Gene Hackman appealed to the court to try to ban the footage from the public spectacle. Again, they were private. The judge ruled that they could still show the body cam footage. The public could have access. It's considered public information, but they had to blur out the bodies. Now, that wasn't a win because that's what they normally do anyway, the police, law enforcement. So unfortunately, we're going to end up having public, the media is going to go into a frenzy showing this body cam, and we'll probably know a little bit more about what happened. Now it's an issue of the estate.
I'm sure he left a big estate.
He had about 80 million.
Whoa.
So it gets a little twisted because of the dates of death. Betsy dies first. Gene's will in 2005 said that everything that he would own upon his demise would go to Betsy. Didn't mention his kids at all.
Oh, this is going to be a
it's going to be a fight. This is where the drama is going to be, is in the court fight, not so much the speculation about how they died. The 3 kids have already petitioned the court.
Oh, good.
So Betsy dies first. So no matter what was Gene's will, it really doesn't matter because he's saying give it to Betsy.
It's all on the dates.
Betsy's already dead.
Right.
Her will basically said to leave the estate stuff, her stuff and Gene's stuff, to charities.
Oh, Jesus.
So now you got the charities involved. Now, if you go into the legal wrangle of this, the kids have the right to file a claim against the estate.
Right.
You have the charities that can file a claim against the estate. There are provisions in the wills that say that if they are 90 days dying from each other.
Oh my God.
So watch the legal part of it.
Oh, yeah,
that's going to be
interesting.
captivating.
That'll be on, I swear to God, they're going to do an episode of this on TV.
Completely. Unfortunately for the Hackmans and the family, this is going to be dragged out into the public media. But we want to remember Gene Hackman in a better way than the drama that's going to happen in the courts.
Yeah.
You have some suggested?
I do, and I have a big watch list, but I usually explain a picture very longly, but I'm just going to give names because he was just such one of the last great stars that was like a chameleon, and I'm going to tell you pictures that I think you really should see that were starred. Number 1, we mentioned Bonnie and Clyde. It's a great film. He did a great performance. It's not dated at all. So Bonnie and Clyde is on the list. Of course, The French Connection, which made him a big star, and everybody knew him. And that was one of those pictures you saw again and again in theaters. The Conversation, Francis Ford Coppola's movie number 3. It's a masterpiece where he has this very internal performance and he's a paranoid surveillance expert. It's a brilliant, understated movie for real film lovers. Of course, he was in Superman, and he was Lex Luthor, who was the bad guy against Superman. It's kind of a comedic performance, but it's a really good film. You know, and of course we see Christopher Reeve as well. Sports people love Hoosiers, which is a basketball picture. It's an inspirational performance. And another one that I really liked with Willem Dafoe, who we've had in Nosferatu, is Mississippi Burning, which is a really good picture about the South and the teenagers that were murdered that were down there working on the civil rights, a true story. He won the Oscar. The next picture, Unforgiven, Clint Eastwood's picture, where he played Bill Daggett, a real rotten part. And he didn't really play rotten parts, but he was good at them. And he got a Best Supporting Actor nod for that. Then he did The Royal Tenenbaums, which is a movie that, you know, was kind of comic and strange, but people do like it. But there's so many movies he's done, I can't even I could list 50 on my watch list. So just enjoy them. They're on TV, they're on streaming. He's such a prolific person. Really celebrate him for the actor that he was.
Gene Hackman isn't the only actor that's sort of disappeared from the acting world, from Hollywood. Daniel Day-Lewis is one. J.D. Salinger, and then even Bill Murray kind of like pops in and out. If you want to bring it to like contemporary,
they don't have what Hackman had. I mean, let's face it.
And I agree. And I think, you know, I contend that, in my opinion, how did they die? Did Gene know that Betsy died? I believe that he did know. I believe that he consciously chose to end his life quietly with her, without public spectacle, and in the solitary environment that he and his wife created. And I think that that's touching. So at the end, it sort of leaves us to write the end of his story.
Well, my summation, Joe, is that some of my favorite movies are Hackman. And when he died, it was a real shock. I mean, there were actors that died that gave a shock to my system that I was affected all day, and he was one of them. And the way that it happened is still such a mystery and such a strangeness that it just is like as big as a Hollywood life, as big as a death. Really amazing, and we'll only speculate. We can't know. I don't think we'll ever really know. But because we do our paddles, I want to write down what our favorite Gene Hackman movie was, and we're going to show them to our audience and tell them. So,
on a count of 3, 1, 2, 3, our favorite Gene Hackman movie?
Mine was Bonnie and Clyde.
That was French Connection. Love the New York scene. Love his...
I love Bonnie and Clyde so much. I have the whole first thing between Clyde and Bonnie memorized, and that was a big thing. I was in grammar school, I remember. And I just thought, that movie, to this day, is one of those, when it's on, I sit and watch it.
Well, Deb, we pay tribute to an old legend actor, Gene Hackman, and we talked about the speculation surrounding his and his wife's passing. I don't know where we're going, but I know what I want to do. I want to give you a big hug. I'm going to go give you a big hug.
Baby. My little Italian baby. My little bambino, mio schivino.
So while this is kind of a sad and melancholy kind of tribute, we have another actor that we're going to talk about too.
Yeah.
So where are we going next?
Well, we never know where we're going. We kind of do. And sometimes we're silly, sometimes we're somber. But we never know where we're really going, Joe, till we go there, because we love classic cinema, and these actors are classic. And we'll see you next time on the Reel Watchlist Plus.